So what I'd like to know is, what's your biggest challenge regarding goals, your vision, personally, professionally? What are some of the biggest challenges you faced regarding goals? And can I use this board here?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Time management.
Okay, time management. How do you mean?
Just that.
Okay.
Trying to get everything done within a certain amount of time, and you've got, well, for me, I have events, so I've got to make sure I have certain things set up a certain way, and that I have enough product for the event that I'm doing.
Very good.
And if it's several events in a day or consecutive, you know, big events, smaller events, I gotta make sure everything's there.
Okay, so time management and priorities. What else? What else? And she's the only one that has a goal. Help me out here.
Expand your business.
Okay, expand. Anybody else want to expand their business? Okay. What would it mean to expand your business?
Having something set up permanently, like, just like not one location, but several locations getting into.
Franchise it.
Well, not
Yeah, spread
franchising
yourself
per
out.
se, but yeah, I guess in a way per se franchising, but like I'd like to get set up, I'm working on a few projects to get set up in some local businesses, maybe down at Comerica Park or zoos or things like that, to have my brand out there so that people aren't following me around, calling me, following my trailer, hey, I'm behind you, you know, I want to look for a party, where they can actually, and I don't want a storefront per se, so I'd like to be in several different locations.
Very good, thank you. I heard somebody else over here. What are your goals?
I'm finding out, sorry.
Did you call me out? I'm like,
Sure.
my goals are, well, of course, to grow my business, you know, acquire new customers, more salespeople for me.
Okay, more salespeople. Right.
Excuse me, one other thing is, to getting a balance in life.
Balance.
I know.
Balance.
Balance, that's,
Balance in
people always
life.
say they don't have enough time, but you have to look at what you're doing with your time.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's why I wrote the word priorities.
Right.
Who else? What are you looking to do in your life, your business?
I want to find people looking to grow and change, like a two-way street, having more joy, having more, I don't know, just work with people you enjoy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I
Grow.
said it, yeah.
Find people who want to grow, basically, right?
Yeah.
And enjoy, yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Who else? All right, so let's jump in here, and you know, it was Memorial Day, and I got invited to a social gathering, and I hadn't seen this particular guy who invited me in 10 years, and he invited some friends I hadn't seen in a long time. And I looked over at a picnic table, and there was Steve. Oh, there's Steve. Oh, he looks, I don't know, he doesn't look right. Something's up with him. So I went and I sat, and we talked for about an hour. Oh my God, his girlfriend, who lived with him for a number of years, she suddenly decided to pick up and move to Texas and be with her high school sweetheart. Oh, dude, man, he was really forlorn and sullen, and you could see the stress and the frustration on his face, and the hurt, and you know, it's just, he was kind of numb in some ways. And we talked, and we talked, and we talked, and I listened, and I listened, and I listened. And I said, you know, Steve, I kind of understand how you feel in some way. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I probably went through the darkest period of my life about 5 years ago. He says, well, what happened? I said, well, you know, I was traveling. I was traveling throughout the United States internationally and putting on programs and doing meetings and consultations. I said, and then the crash came, the 2008 crash, and business slowed down to a crawl. Well, I had saved up plenty of money, and I thought, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to write a book, and then I'm going to get back on the road, then I'll raise my fees, you know. Because when you have a book, you can charge a little more, right? You know, we charge top dollar here today. And so I did. I actually wrote a book, and I think I put a slide. I did. Okay, this is a book I wrote that I think Donna might appreciate. Sales in a challenging real estate market, and an action guide. And then builders would buy these in boxes, and I'd go in and do seminars, and a lot of fun. But I really didn't want to do that. What I really want to do is stay home and raise my 7-year-old daughter, because I had been on the road since she was a baby. And so I decided to get my overhead down. And I figured if I get the overhead down, this new business, this marketing business, it's actually video marketing to be specific. If I get this thing going, and it started off like gangbusters. But I thought, boy, if I could just bring my mortgage payment down a little bit, I have a little breathing room. Makes sense, doesn't it? Right? You know, you want to get your expenses in line with your income. So President Obama had a program. And I figured, hey, it's President Obama's program, so what could possibly go wrong with this, right? So I got into the program. It took almost 6 months to get into the program because they lost my paperwork twice. Now, this is a big American bank. I cannot tell you which bank it is because I signed something, okay? But it was a big bank, and I'm like, how do you lose 2 sets of paperwork? Then I got into the program, and all you had to do, I qualified, all you had to do was make 3 payments, and then instead of this payment, you've got this payment, we'll take this part, and we'll add it to the end. You're still gonna pay, right? But that's fine with me. But this amount that they lowered it, that was significant. And over time, it adds up, right? So, got into the program, and I dotted the I's, crossed the T's. It's 3 months. I've done my part. I said, okay, guys, I've done my part. Let's do yours. They go, well, not so fast. Well, what do you mean not so fast? The investor is reviewing your case. I said, well, who's the investor? Well, we can't tell you. I call back the next month. Well, what's going on? Well, what are you talking about? Well, you've got notes, don't you? Yeah, we don't have anything. Well, could you talk to the person I talked to, right? The left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. 16 months passes by. At the end of 16 months, I finally get the call, and the guy says, well, we kicked you off the program at month 9. I said, oh, well, it'd be nice to know that, you know. This big American bank. And so not all banks are like this. This is a big American bank. And so I said, listen, you're cashing my checks. They're on time. They've always been on time. I don't understand. Well, what happened? He said, well, the rules changed. Oh, okay. It's like you're playing football or baseball or hockey or, and suddenly they change the rules. Well, instead of a home run fence, if you hit it over third base, that's a home run. Are you guys crazy? So I said, okay, so what rules? Call this number. I call the number. Yeah, so what rules changed? Well, we don't know. Wait a minute. The other guy said he didn't know. They said, call this number, and you said, you don't know. Holy cow. And oh, by the way, you know all the difference over the 16 months, that difference? We want all that right now. Give it to us right now. Or we're going to take you home. Wait a minute. I know I'm not on drugs. I'm sure I'm not. And this is, I'm pretty sure I'm in my body and this is planet Earth. What is going on? So I started knocking on attorneys' doors. And I said, hey, listen, here's the situation. And they said, okay, Mr. Powers, yeah, if you give us $3,000 to $5,000, it was about $5,000 usually. If you give us $5,000 a month, we'll slow it down for you. Okay, all right, I get it. But there's something else wrong. I don't know there's something I remember when I was about 10 or 12. I'm behind a white picket fence. My little dog, Snooky, is barking. She's barking at my father and 3 guys from Texas, and they're going at it on the other side of the white picket fence, right? And Dad, just give them the money. Well, apparently they had stopped by earlier in the day, and they saw a broken fender on the car in the driveway. They said, we can fix this. And so my mom calls my dad. My dad says, well, they can fix it for that amount. Have them do it. My dad gets home. He's a tool and die maker. He takes one look at the job, and he goes, that ain't right. There's something that's not right about that, and I'm not going to pay you guys. Dad, give them the money. They're going to kill you. Well, they didn't kill him. They sped off down the road. 3 days later, that fender literally crumbled before our eyes. How he knew, I don't know. He just knew something wasn't right. Well, I knew something wasn't right in this particular situation. So what happens is, now it's this big bank in America versus the Powers family. They're going after after, you know, my biggest asset. I had a lot of equity in that home, a lot of memories, you know, raised a child there, and family gatherings, and now they want that. So the stress in this situation was so unbearable. I mean, this was 6 years. They the highest paid lawyers they could in the beginning. And it was Trott and Trott. I don't know if you ever heard of David Trott, congressman? David Trott was a congressman. And he was one of the fellows who boasted about stealing homes. He said, I have taken this many homes. Whoa, on TV? Are you serious? Right? So they came after me. The pressure was, I mean, I felt like I was in a vice. I had, you know, I've been through death, through suicide, through the service. I've been through lots of pressure, but I've never had any kind of pressure like this. Fortunately, during that time, I had coping strategies. I had a way, I had daily survival skills. I didn't know they were daily survival skills at the time. This is in retrospect. So, you know, I started really working those skills because the stress was so unbelievably. In fact, where I got these skills from was I developed a course over 20 years ago. It was called Future Visions, Techniques for Planning and Achieving Your Goals. And I would put it on for, you know, situations like this or small businesses. Ford Motor had picked it up and made it available to all their employees. And it was a very, very powerful 8-hour course. And from that, I took some of these ideas, and I've been coaching people all along for the last 35 years. I've always been a coach, either personally or professionally, always doing that on the side because it's just something I love to do. I love to help people. I like to see people, I like to find people and help them to grow. So I had that course, and then I had developed, I was telling Jen over here that I'd done some work with Pulte Homes. I had many, many projects. I took them from the worst builder in Michigan to dominating J.D. Power in 30 markets over a 10-year period by changing the culture. And I did a program called Techniques for Stress Hardiness. That's what they tested me, and it worked. So I had all these skills, and I began to, in that program that I was doing, I would talk about brain growth. And there's a guy by the name of Dr. Herbert Benson. He wrote a book called Your Maximum Mind. In fact, he wrote 10 best-selling books. And he's a Harvard graduate, chief of staff at Boston Hospital. And he said that basically you could grow your brain as easily at age 90 as at age 9 if 3 factors were present. Would you like to know what they are?
Yes.
Wow, we've got feedback. This is good. This is working. All right, so let's talk about that. The first one is worthwhile goals. Now, when I talk about worthwhile goals, I'm talking about written worthwhile goals, goals that you write down, goals that are meaningful to you. I remember when I was in the Air Force, I read this book. It was a landmark book, and I found a number of people who are, I'm also a musician, and one of the best musicians, one of the best drummers in the Detroit area, had read that book, and he had an epiphany. So I find that, you know, people are really good at what they do have somehow come across that book, and I don't know why or how. But he said the mind is totally logical. Dr. Maltz says it's like a goal-seeking missile. The mind needs a worthwhile destination to function effectively. Now we sort of know that intuitively, but we don't always make access of it or actually use that to our advantage. And then there's another fella here, Dr. Viktor Frankl. He said, those who have a why can bear almost any how. Now, Viktor Frankl was in a concentration camp at Auschwitz under Hitler, Adolf Hitler, and he was a psychotherapist. So he paid attention. He paid attention to what was going on around him. And he said it was interesting. He said the inmates who didn't have goals were not considered dangerous. You could leave them alone. They'll be fine. They'll die on their own, right? The ones that had goals, they're dangerous because they have a why. And they want to do something. They want to get out of here, including guys like Viktor Frankl. What's key about this is not just the what, but the why. And Simon Sinek, how many are familiar with Simon Sinek? Okay, you know, he did the Golden Circle. Great, great thinker. He says there's only 2 ways to influence human behavior. You can manipulate it or you can inspire it. The inspiration comes from, not the goal, the why of the goal. I have nice set of drills that I just bought. They're kind of gold at the base and silver on the top, and nice presentation. And I bought the drills not to put on top of my mantle or my fireplace. Why did I buy the drills?
You like them.
Okay, I like that. Good. What do I want to do with the drills?
Reminder?
Okay.
You need holes.
Yes, exactly. I bought the drills for holes, not so that I could put them. Oh, geez, that's nice. Let me put that on my fireplace. No. So it's the why of the goal. So we're talking about brain growth. Aziza at age 90 is age 9, and even though we're losing brain cells, what the doctors have discovered is that if you can expose yourself to these 3 factors, you'll create synaptic connections. And those synaptic connections grow the brain in size and in weight. We'll talk more about that as we go. So let's go ahead right now, and I'd like you to, on your handout, to jot a goal that you'd like to work with during this time. Go ahead and jot down a goal. Just, a couple of words. 1 or 2 goals could be with work, money, health, relationships, education, improvement. Something where, you'd like to create something happening. And can I get an example of a goal? Be willing to share a goal. Just 1 goal. Not everybody at once now. Who's got a goal? Come on, Angel, help me.
I've got a goal. One is that
Linda.
I want to increase
Here we go.
my finding of people who like what I do. And I want to go to a certain level where the income is more profitable. And there's a goal for one of my children. They want to go in business with me, but what they like to do is they like to eventually to buy our home. I'm a widow now, and they love this home. So what I want to do is by increasing people who want to do what I do get I can develop a very successful business with a good income. So
And then the house goes to the kids, right?
the one child
Her why?
would be able to
She's
be
got her
able to
why.
buy the home.
Very good.
And I have to tell you that psycho-cybernetics, I read that book years ago, and he says that people would come to him and get plastic surgery done,
Right.
and they'd get their nose done or whatever, and then afterwards they'd say, I don't like that.
Right.
And he said, until you change your mind, the way you look, the way you are right now, and there's going to be improvement, and it was all internally.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why I'm in this business, because of that book.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. Who else? Goal? Another goal? Please.
Not a business goal, but a fitness goal. I want to run a Army 10-miler next year in the fall.
Army, did you say?
Yep, Army run.
Army
It's
10 miler?
Yeah, they don't do a half marathon or a marathon, but they have a 10-mile run
Okay.
in DC next year. I think it's in October or November.
Okay, very good. You're on. Who else? Goal, please.
Yeah, mine's kind of like, it's just personal, get people to love reading like I do.
Get people to love reading.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love to read, and people that don't read, they just don't understand the joy.
That's kind of like coming to the front of the room to talk, right?
Well,
You
it's true.
understand that.
I mean, if
but-
you don't wanna talk to your husband or your kids, go read a book.
All right, so we got a goal. Now the big question is, with regard to your goal, why is that goal important?
I'm working
Now,
on
why is it important to have people reading? Why is it important for your kids to get this particular house? Why is it important for whatever goal that you have? Why? Just jot down 1 or 2 ideas based around the why of that goal. Anybody willing to share their why? Just the why part. Angel.
Happiness.
Happiness. How would you know when you're happy?
I'm feeling fulfilled. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm thinking positively, not negatively.
Very good. Okay. Who else? What's your why? Please.
Financial freedom.
Financial freedom. How would you know when you're free?
I can travel when I want, and joy, like Angel said, things make me happy, and
And where would you travel to?
anywhere I want.
You better write it down. You better write it down.
Now,
Okay?
well, actually, a beach, right?
Beach.
Angel knows.
Okay, we'll start at the beach.
Beach, we'll go to the beach.
Okay.
Any
Who-
beach.
Who else? Your why? What's your why?
I like to prove my critics wrong and all my naysayers, and And I actually like Ty Cobb. I get a real thrill in that.
All right, very good. So he wants to prove his niece here is wrong. I love it. All right, so that's the first one, and that's a goal. Let's go to the second one, okay? The second factor in brain growth is what Dr. Benson called an expectant attitude. I call it mindset, a resilient mindset, but an expectant attitude. So let's look closely at what this means. Now, when I was in relationship with this bank, getting these bank lessons, right, this free tutoring, this part was really, really important to me in terms of keeping alive. So, when you wake up in the morning, here's what I've discovered for me. Maybe it's true for you. If you wake up in the morning and you don't have a vision of your future or clear goals about where you're going and what you're going to do, you tend to react throughout the day. You react throughout your life. So you wait to see what's going to happen. Well, what's your goal in that meeting? Well, I don't know. I'll see what happens. Okay, all right. That's one way to approach life. I say, take the bull by the horns. And that includes handling the daily stress. So when we think about this, I would get up each morning. I had to get up extra early because now I'm starting a new business. It's going good, but now I'm working on these bank issues, and I am, let me tell you what happened was since these attorneys seemed not to want to help me, they didn't want to really get to the bottom of it. And what I discovered later, they didn't want to go up against this big bank because they didn't want to get blackballed. It was up to me. So I started doing some research. I found a coach in Florida. His name was Justin James. He had something called Foreclosure Relief Network. And so he took me on, and I paid him. And he said, here's where the dead bodies are. Go to it now. And I had to start doing my research. I began studying law in that area. I drilled deep down, and the deeper I looked, the more scared I became in terms of what was going on in America. And I asked him for a period of time, would it be okay? Could I work with you? I would like to work with you part-time. Because I wanted to know what kind of calls he was getting. I was on over 1,200 calls. By the time I was done in 6 years, I had a stack of spiral notebooks covered page to page, back to back to back. And there were people from all sorts of big banks that were going through things like I was going through. People who had $100,000 to $5 million mortgage. So I'm like, holy cow, this is endemic of the system. Something is really wrong. So I'm doing my study. In fact, he introduced me to Eva Jo Sparks, who was a forensic auditor in Oklahoma City. She does them for the FBI, and she does them against this very big bank in America. So she agreed to take me on. I paid her fee, and it took me 2 months to upload all the data. She sends me back the report. She says, Daron, I know you think maybe you did something wrong, even though you don't know what it is, but you didn't do anything wrong. You're not in default. You got some problems with your mortgage here, and here's where some of the dead bodies are. I went, oh my God, what are we going to do now? I kept studying the law, kept researching. I was learning how to present in district court, how to present in federal court. This is all new to me. I was like, fish on water. And now I was up against $750 an hour lawyers. Just me, Mr. Nobody, against these guys who defend the Forbes, and they're very, very rich people. But so anyways, I had to keep my attitude. So I'd wake up very early, and I'd get up early, and I would journal. I think it was Kim. Kim says she journals, right?
I do too.
Anybody else? You journal? Anybody else write things down in the morning about your day? Excellent. So some of the things I would write down are some of the goals, what I was grateful for. If I have a friend, and she gets up in the morning and she says, when I wake up, my eyes open, I look at the ceiling and go, oh, I can see, this is great. I'm breathing, this is great, I love this, okay. And then she would think about her family, she'd think about her clients that she loves, she would think about everything she could to get herself in that prime state, and I think that's really important. So what's grateful? Event previews. So during that time, I was doing the business, and I was spending time at the Oakland County Register of Deeds. I was meeting with, I even found some attorneys that I could consult to that would help me to uncover some of this stuff. And it was very, very difficult to find an attorney who actually knows what's going on. They're all kind of part of the system. And the judges across the United States are funded by banks. Their pensions are funded by banks. Most people don't know that. You know, I was very lucky. I found a judge who I don't believe was funded by the banks. In any case, so you'll have event previews throughout the day. So what I would write out is how I wanted to feel in those meetings, how I wanted to come across. Didn't mean I would be that way. What it meant was I wasn't going to go in reacting to life. I was going to go in and take charge of my feelings and my responses and who I am. So that's a really key one. It's also called the ideal day. And then I would think about, okay, what things are falling between the cracks? What's going? And I would write all this out on a piece of paper. And then I would ask for guidance, whether it's spiritual guidance. I would ask for that. And then also from my coaches. You know, I'm a big, big fan of coaches. How many of you use coaches, just out of curiosity? I remember back when I started at Carnegie early on, I hired a coach, and he was $100 an hour. He was an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming expert. And he worked with the founders. So, I mean, I had a pure source, and he was a great teacher and a great coach. And I hired him at $100 an hour when I couldn't afford $100 an hour, which would be equivalent to about $275 today. And so we began working together, and 6 months later, my business went through the roof. I had no idea I was going to be successful financially and prestige-wise. I was the #1 guy in the franchise, the Dale Carnegie franchise, and in the world, 63 countries, 17 different languages, I was the #1 guy. And it's not because I'm so great. I had a good coach and had a strong desire to help people be as good as they could be. So I really think I'm a big fan of coaches.
Do you coach?
I do coach. Yes, I do.
Sorry, I just.
Yeah, no,
I
good
didn't
question.
interrupt, but you didn't see it, so.
I do. Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. And then the other thing I would do is relaxation and breath. Which would be just sitting in a chair and closing my eyes and following my breath in and out, in and out. Sometimes I use binaural beats, which I also use in the Ford Motor program. Today I have something even more advanced than that in the programs I do. But I would get myself into a relaxed state because I needed to get the cortisol levels down. The stress was so high from the pressure. I had to find a way to keep it down so that I could function, I could think clearly, and make good decisions. So that was really critical because, when you think about stress, in the pandemic that we had recently, a Harris poll for the American Psychological Association recently found out that the stress was a huge factor for 78% of adults during the pandemic. How many of you experienced stress during the pandemic? A little bit, at least a tiny bit. Okay.
100%.
What's that?
100%.
100%. All right. Okay. The average weight gain was 29 pounds. Less activity. There were a lot of sleep issues, alcohol, drug addictions. People delayed or canceled their health care services. It has been a real nightmare. And because when you think about fear and anxiety, this is really key. During caveman times, let's say there was a snake or a tiger or a lion, suddenly the adrenals would kick up. Stress went high. And now I have to be as alert as I can because I want to save myself and my family, right? And then they would get away from the tigers, the lions, the snakes. They'd get back to their cave. There's no threat. The body would fall back to homeostasis, to balance, and life is good. But that's not the way it is in America today. That's not we don't fear lions, tigers, and snakes. We have other sorts of things that will activate our limbic fight or flight part of our brain. Whoa, wrong button. Try that button. There we go. Okay. So what's key here is during the pandemic, they were talking a lot, all this talk about vaccines. I got my vaccines, okay? But all this talk about vaccines and no talk about controlling stress or immunity. And those are the things that really can save you, is your immunity, your immune system. And it doesn't function as well as it can. So we had the Great Resignation, over 4 million people walking away from their jobs, mass shootings today, Ukraine war, inflation. There's a lot of reasons for people to have stress. Are you with me? All right, so what's key is if we don't control that stress, if we don't learn to do it as efficiently as possible, that sustained stress drives up cortisol levels. Those cortisol levels will weaken your immune system. And over time, when you go to bed at night, if you have not relaxed fully, your body cannot restore its cells. It cannot reinvigorate itself. And that's why in today's world, it's critical that we have tools to cover fear and anxiety. And I, of course, used it in that situation. So what I'd like you to do is think about your own life. When you get up each day, what are 1 or 2 things that you do in order to keep your mind positive, resilient, taking charge of your life? What are some things you do? What I'd like you to do is jot down 1 or 2 things that you do on a daily basis to get yourself going. And as soon as you have one thing, could I get an example? Because it will help spur other people. Please.
Read.
You read.
Shower.
Wow, shock. That is a shock.
Run,
What's that?
run.
We run, okay, right?
Shower.
Shower?
Sometimes just being in there and taking a few extra minutes.
Best ideas in the shower, right?
Right beforehand.
I have to keep a notepad in the bathroom and a recorder for when I'm in showers. Like, oh, quick,
Yeah.
before it goes away. Who else? What's something that you do? Please, Jim.
Coffee?
Coffee! That's part of the day, right?
Mountain Dew.
That was Mountain Dew.
I have more prayer time.
Okay.
Oh, I like
Leilani says prayer time. Who else? Please.
I, right away when I get up, it's at this stage in my life right now, is I practice my attitude of gratitude. I journal. I regain injuries. I just lost my husband about 7 months ago. So I really have to get goals. I have to know what I'm going to be doing every day because, well, it's such a loss within your life. And you are hitting everything on the head, especially about Americans never find time to just sit back, relax, don't think of anything, and just clear this mind. And we
You're
don't.
right. And we don't do that because we don't think that we're
Right.
enough, right?
Yeah.
Would you hold your arm up, please?
Yes.
Show. Here, face the camera. I want
How would
the
you like
camera.
me to?
Can the camera see this? Show it to
He's
the
gonna
camera.
break my arm, but I will show the
Right,
camera.
yeah,
There
show,
you go.
show the
There you
camera.
go.
That's your
right.
I am enough.
That's
right?
right. Yes.
And you got to get to it. It takes a little bit of work to get to there,
Oh,
doesn't
yes,
it? You know, you got to
definitely.
do your homework
Mind work.
in life.
Yes.
Your mind work.
I go
Absolutely.
outside every day, every morning.
You go outside.
Yes.
Excellent. You know, I always make sure I take my shoes off in the morning,
Yes.
and I go out and do my exercises so I can ground
Yes,
myself
yes.
to the earth. Please.
Well, I breathe.
You breathe. All right. All right. Isn't that?
A long time ago, I learned that
Pretty
if
certain.
you do not take 5 deep breaths an hour, your body goes back to acidic state, and I want to be alkaline.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, breath is absolutely key. And if when you breathe, you also think about the things you're grateful for,
Mhm.
you get a sort of a sinking of the mind and the heart. Okay, very good. So let's, yes, right. It was 2019. Remember 2019? It was March. I went to see my daughter in Redding, California. I was going to take a vacation. First vacation I took in a long time. And so I had a big list of new projects to start, video marketing projects. I was so excited about it. It's going to be the best year ever, 2019, March, right? I get back off the plane, and the first day I was back, we go into lockdown. And I thought, okay, all right. And all my clients, all those projects just were gone. They were gone because they involved meeting people and working with people. So they were gone. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna be okay. Yes.
2020, right?
It was 2020.
That was 2020.
In 2019 it started.
Yeah, it's when it started.
2019
It's
started,
20 when it
the
started.
end of the year.
Yeah.
But
By
not-
then lockdown. Okay, but in any case, I knew I was going to be inside, right? So I thought, I'll do okay, because I'm introspective, I like to learn, I like to grow, I'm not afraid of myself, okay? But I said, this is not gonna be easy for other people. And so I'm starting to think to myself, you know, I've been wanting to learn Tai Chi and Qigong. I have black belts and brown belts and many other styles, but because I travel, I wasn't doing it for a while, and I want to get back into martial arts for reasons of longevity, because at age 90, I want to be standing here. And, you know, having Mark Tremper bring me back in, right? I'll be probably moving a little slower, but I'll be here, right? And so I've got these goals, so I'm going to study Tai Chi, so I decided to take that up. And while I'm going through these Tai Chi exercises, I'm thinking about the people and how difficult this is going to be for folks. And I'm thinking, and I started thinking about the people I was working with and I was coaching. This guy's a plumber, and he works in a family business. And in this family business, they're very, very, very successful business, multi-million-dollar business. And he is the chief guy. He is the master journeyman plumber. The guy knows his stuff. I've had him do things for me, and in a home that I'm rebuilding. And well, you know, I just had another plumber. He was like $200 an hour. Another plumber come in to do something to the toilet. It was $185, 10 minutes, and he's gone. Right? That's the business to get into, right? A growing business. Anyway, so we go through this 6-step process that I have, and including the parts we're controlling stress and defeating limiting beliefs that get in the way of your goals. And he had been trying to save money and do money-generating projects for the business, to grow the business, but he couldn't get those ideas across to the CEO. And the CEO just happened to be his mother. So we had to work through some extra stuff, but we did, and we got on the other side of it, and he realized you can't change his mother. It was going to be him and his attitude, his perception. He's a smart guy. And he texted me the next day, he goes, Daron, oh man, he says, I never thought this was possible, but I'm actually able to easily communicate with her, and we're starting to share ideas that will grow our business. That was beautiful. So then I had another lady come to me. She wanted to improve her, 2 things, improve her golf game and get a better job, more money. So she said, so we worked through the 6-step process. We worked through any of the limiting beliefs that she didn't even realize she had that affected her game and her income. And so she goes to play golf with her father. We had maybe 4 or 5 sessions. She goes to play golf with her father. And she says, when I step up to the tee, you know, I start to get really nervous and anxious. My dad's a good golfer, you know. And I'm a decent golfer. But I would slice to the left or to the right into the trees, into the sand traps, 90 yards. He said, but this was different. So I go up to the tee and I did my homework, you know, and I'm set. My mind is set. And I turn and I swing, boom, 180 yards straight down the fairway. And her dad goes, what have you been doing? And she explained to him, I would see this coach and start working on the mental game, not just the physical game. Because she wasn't getting any extra lessons. She wasn't playing any more she normally did. What she changed was her mindset about the game and about herself. And so I thought, okay, all right, mindset, this is good, this is good. This guy, John, when I published a book recently, and he bought the audio to it, and he called me, because we're both on Facebook. He said, yeah, I got your audio. I go, that sounds great, you know. And, and then he bought a workbook that I recently published. And he says, yeah, you've got that protocol in there for reducing stress called EFT. How many of you heard of EFT? Emotional Freedom Technique. And it takes 2 or 3 minutes. And boom, you can literally change your attitude towards what's happening. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. So, so he's laying in bed, and he lost his job in December. And he goes, I'm out of my mind. I got to get a job. You know, I don't know how long my funds are going to last. I got to get a job. And so he's doing resumes. He's making calls. He's having job interviews, but he's not having any luck. He's laying in bed, he can't sleep. So he's listening to the audio that I did. Comes to the EFT part, and he goes, I can't sleep, I might as well just go ahead and do this. And so he does it, right? And he gets his stress down from a 10 all the way down to a 2. He says, I could have got it down to 0, but I was good. I went to sleep. Got up the next day, said, I'm going to start using this stuff. You know, it's great. It always amazes me how people buy products and services and they don't use them, right? You know, particularly learning stuff. In any case, he just posted on Amazon, he just posted basically this. He said, I had a couple of job interviews. He said, one of the interviews, they offered me $10,000 more than I normally make. He said, but I went back to it, and I went through your resources first, then I went back to it, made a presentation, and they just offered me $45,000 more than I normally make, and I got the job. And so I started thinking about these people, and I thought, you know, I should put this stuff into a book form. I started thinking about all the different ways, you know, the consultations I've been doing. I'm thinking about all the seminars I've done over the years, you know, the course that I did for Ford Motor Company, and I put it into a proven system, basically a book. And so I just recently published this. It's called Future Vision, 6 Steps to Harness Your Passion in the New Normal. And then this was just released 2 weeks ago, the workbook, okay? And so I was really excited about that. And that was my project for COVID, right? In any case, let's go to the third idea now. The first idea was for brain growth was number 1, to set a goal, right? The second one was what? Remember? Expectant attitude. And the third one is to create a enriched environment. And despite the loss of brain cells during normal aging, the right people, right places, and conditions keep the mind stimulated, resilient, growing, forming new neural pathways. You know, it used to be we thought who you are is who you are, but now what we know in modern science today is that the mind has neuroplasticity, which means that you can change your mind and you can create new pathways. And if you follow these 3 ideas, you'll grow that brain and new pathways all your life, especially if you're a reader, for sure. All right, so let's talk about, here's a picture of a live brain cell, and here's a dead one. So brain cells die. They die over time, and the body doesn't make new brain cells. Sorry, if you like to drink, dead brain cells. And the body doesn't make new brain cells. But if you follow these 3 ideas, guess what? You can create new neuropathic pathways, right, that will cause your brain to grow in size and weight and even in function. All right. So let's talk about enriched versus impoverished environments. So when I graduated from high school, I was about a B student, okay? And I went to Lawrence Tech University to become an electrical engineer. I know some of you can already see that disaster coming, right? After four semesters with an average grade of a D, that was not me. So I thought, something's wrong with me. I'm a dumb person. I'm defective. I've got the wrong genes. Something happened, And then I got in the Air Force. When I got into the Air Force, I started taking classes once I got stationed in business law, in marketing, in psychology, and I'm acing everything. I'm going, what's wrong with this? Then I get out and I go to Eastern Michigan and I get a marketing degree. And I do very, very well. And I now look back at it, I realize the environment that I originally put myself in was an impoverished environment for me. Because it was not my goal. Guess whose goal it was to be an engineer? Yeah, my parents, my dad, right? And I was just trying to be a good son, right? But that didn't work for me. And so we have to be careful about the environments that we're in, whether they're feeding us, whether they're helping us, or hindering us. Okay. Then when I got into Dale Carnegie courses and I began teaching, and I had people who were just starting entrepreneurs. I had people who had 10,000 people reporting to them. So I had all sorts of people in there. And interestingly enough, and I watched them grow, and they would grow in 4.5 months, they'd grow by leaps and bounds. In whatever area was important to them. If they came in and said, okay, I want more confidence, usually that wasn't it. It might be something with the family, or it might be stress, or something, but things always happen. We had a way of putting them outside their comfort zone, safe in the environment, but a risk emotionally. And then they would get positive feedback. And in psychology, they call that the method of successive approximation, where he goes from success to success to success. Now, we had some people who were really smart who came to master's degrees, PhDs, and they go, Daron, yeah, you guys, fun class, it's really nice. Well, could you tell me what's wrong with me? I said, this is not the program, sorry. You're going to have to go to another program, because that's not the way this works. So it's important. And so the program that the Carnegie leadership laid out was an enriched environment versus impoverished. News and social media. If we're looking at news, or we're going to sleep to bad news, or waking up to bad news, or social media that's engaging us or addicting us in a way that's not good for us, that's impoverished. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. My late wife's grandfather shows up. I'm going to Eastern Michigan University. He walks through the door, and we were living in, I was a property owner by that time. I was living in Willow Run Estates, which was a very fancy mobile home. And so he walks through, he comes through the door, he's 88, he stands 6'6", he's wearing all black, white shirt, black tie, cassette recorder under his shoulder. And he says, I'm here to write family history. Well, it turns out he was a principal his whole life. He was an inventor. He invented the model atoms that we used in schools all across the country. He also invented telescopic lenses that they use in space today. So, and his wife turned into a vegetable, and he stayed by her side till she died. When she died at 88, he got on a plane from California, flew out to see us. He said, I want to write the family history. And then, of course, he lived well into his 90s. But he's a good example of living a life that was enriched, in that he did all three. He had worthwhile goals, he had the right mindset, and he kept himself in enriched environments. And he became my hero. Later in my 20s, I can remember sitting on a sofa and writing how I wanted to be. I was creating a future vision of what I wanted to be at age 90. So I'm in my 20s. I'm thinking what life is going to be like in the 90s. And I know now today, from that, everything that I have done is steering me in that direction. If I didn't have that vision, yeah, I could go anywhere. Could turn up. My father died at 63. Maybe I would die much younger. I don't know. So, enrich versus now. Simon Sinek says the role of a leader is not to come up with all the great ideas, but to create an environment where great ideas can happen. What do you think of that idea? Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so, when you think about work environments, enriched versus impoverished, inspired versus past. Well, I'll give you an example. I was 15. I had two paper routes. I had a Free Press and I had a Detroit News. And I was rolling in the bucks. I was buying my own clothes, right? And not my own shoes. And I got, my neighbor got a job at Blazel's Country Kitchens on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Very hot spot. And I became a dishwasher at age 15. And then eventually I worked my way up to the busboy, then Sunday, and then short order, then the head cook by age 19. So I was there from 15 to age 19. And there were two methods of management there. One method was the impoverished method, and that was the owner's son. His name was Don. And when he came in, everybody was like, oh, God. Because you knew he was going to talk about everything that was not right the day before, and what you better avoid, and what you better not do, and he would do it with a smile. Didn't work, right? He would call us in our day. I mean, we would work 6, 7 days in a row, 12-hour shifts, hot, heavy, hard. And he'd call us on the day off. No way. No way I was coming in. Forget about it. I'm not going to help you out, right? But then there was a guy who was enriched, Mr. Sawicki. He was from Dearborn. Mr. Sawicki was a professional. He was the guy that you always wanted to work for. I remember when I was washing dishes, and it was hot, it was steamy, right? He would come into the kitchen, and he would just tap me on the shoulder and go, hey, you okay? Is everything okay? Can I get you anything? Do you need anything? Right? He was like, wow. No, I'm good. What? Right? Every step along the way, he would make a connection. I remember I'm cooking, okay, and then we have lulls. We have the dinner hour, and then we have college students, and they'd line up around the place. And in between, there'd be a little lull. And Mr. Suki would come alongside me on the grill, and he would start moving things around. I go, okay, let's consolidate things here. Let's pull things together for the next rush. How you doing? You doing? Hey, how's school going? You do? How's your mom and dad? All these like personal questions, and we weren't looking to write a book or anything, but he took an interest. And I was a teenager, so I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, they're fine. But he took an interest. Now, when he would call us on our day off, no way it was not coming in. If it was him, I'd ask somebody. They called it home because we had these phones on the wall. Remember those? So my mother would pick it up. You go, who is it? He goes, well, it's Mr. Sawicki. Okay, I'll take it. Because I knew I was going in. Because he created an enriched environment. So, a couple tips, a couple things to keep in mind. If you're creating an enriched environment for you or for others, you want to develop a vision of your future. When I'm working with companies, that's one of the things I like to do if they'll allow us. If that's important to the company and they get it, we'll develop a vision for that company because that helps to steer all the goals locally. And you want to do that for yourself. Learn to control daily stress. Really, really important because that's your environment. Your body is your environment. This is where you live. And if you don't control that stress, it's going to control you. Then expand the comfort zone. And what I mean by expanding comfort zone, it's important to keep stepping outside where it's safe and try new things and exposing yourself to new ideas so that you can grow those dendrites and create synaptic connections in your brain. And then be media selective. So, there are news stations that report facts. There are other ones that report propaganda. It depends upon, your thoughts and your ideas. But if it's dividing you or making you feel bad inside, watch something else. That's your choice. Then listen to audio programs. I've been doing this for years. In fact, I even took the book and I made it audio. And the reason I did that is because you can listen and learn while you're gardening, while you're washing the dishes. These are the things I do. Okay, riding your bicycle, exercising, driving. Those are the times when your mind is alert and you can be growing while your hands and eyes are busy. All right, and then assess the people in your world. Who are the people around you? They say the 5 closest people to you have the biggest impact or influence on you. Ask yourself, who around me is lifting me up? Who is taking me down? Who's criticizing? Who's telling me I'm not enough? Right? Because I am enough. And that's the people I want to be around, that know I'm enough.
That's right.
All right, so what would you, so I'd like you to think about your own life and the environment that you work in, that you live in, that you play in. And what things would you add or subtract to improve your situation? Jot down 1 or 2 things that you might do differently, whether it's people or media or the different things that you could do to enrich your environment to make yourself stronger and better. Can I get an example from somebody? One example, maybe? One thing that you can do to make a change? Is this controversial? Please.
Well, at one time, my goal was to retire my husband. That was my goal. I wanted so that he could
go back to work, don't you?
yes, so that he could hunt and fish and do whatever. Now that he's retired, he's had some medical issues and challenges. Now that he's retired, I can't stand him around the house all the time. I mean, really, he's a wonderful person and lovely, but he's in the way. And so I got him a job, I got him a position over at the Veterans so that he's helping others. And for those 3 hours or 4 hours on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, it's just like I have renewed energy. And I'm happy to see him when he comes in.
Well, that's great. So you're basically creating an enriched environment by getting rid of your husband for a little bit.
I've changed my environment.
Very nice. Who else? One thing that you might do differently, please. Kim.
I would like to learn a new skill, just something different, maybe paint or write a book.
Right.
Just do something like that. That would be my add. My subtraction would be less social media because I do find I don't watch television, so I've already taken that out.
Okay.
But social media is big for me. I just
It's
get
very
sucked in.
addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, that rabbit hole is just like all of a sudden I'm like an hour. What the
You feel like you have to stay.
Absolutely, Dana. So Dana?
Practicing.
I'm sorry. You're Sherry.
I'm Sherry.
Sorry, Sherry.
Practicing gratitude. So, I think, so I'm always grateful for the people that I'm around and everything, but I wanna actually put it in my schedule, where when I get up in the morning, I'm thinking about the things that I'm grateful for, and when I go to bed at night, thinking about the great things that happened in the day, so that when I'm sleeping, I'm automatically thinking the positive and just being grateful for everybody and everything around me.
And as you do that, as you wake up in the morning and go to sleep, then it becomes part of your body-mind system.
Yes.
right? And that becomes part of your subconscious mind and starts to direct what it is that you do day by day. Well, I'm going to summarize all this here in just a second. But first, a word from our sponsor. Well, I want to thank the Downriver Federal Credit Union and Mark Tremper here because they provided gas money. I'm very grateful for that. You know, the price of gas, right? That was a very beautiful thing. But now I've got to make sure that everybody gets paid. So, so what I did was I brought some books. I brought. Okay, let's see what we have here. I've got the basic book, which has all the case studies and the research and the how and the why and the steps. It's got the steps in there. But then I thought, you know, it'd really be great if I could actually have something where people could fill in the blanks. So this has the concepts in here, but expands out, and you can do the exercises step by step. This is what I did for this. Basically, is what I did for Ford Motor Company. Okay, this is condensed. This makes it happen. So knowledge is good, but by itself it's not enough. You got to do something, right? In fact, I've been finding that psychotherapists, coaches, and business people are using this now in their business. The workbook and this, and then I also have the audio book too. Okay, so you get the book for 15, the action guide for 30, and you get them together today for 25, for either cash or check. And also, you can buy it online, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And you can take it home with you, save a few bucks. Now, somebody asked me, do I do coaching? All right, here's what I do. I do coaching. It's business, professional, personal. I help the company and or the individual to gain clarity of direction, develop strategic goals, action plans, remove the roadblocks or limiting beliefs. This is huge because a lot of programs deal in goals, but they don't deal on the emotional level. And if you don't deal on the emotional level, you're going to find that there will be subconscious things that will keep you from moving your business or yourself from moving forward. And we deal with that in something called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Okay, so then develop solutions to specific problems. What's that? We create routine success systems and improve performance and accountability. I basically use this, the 6-step process, to do that. And then people have something to take home. Now, in case you're interested in doing this, but you don't want to pay by cash or check, you can go online and you'll see that there is that's to futurevisionpower.com. And you can do this before you leave. Hit live. I made that button today. I put that button in there today for you. I put that button in there so that if you want to take something home with you, you could. So you get the book offer at the bottom there. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. Oh, see, it doesn't work. Well, you see it's buy now there. You can either the book, the action guide, or both those, the combo. And just show me that you did that, and you can take them home with you. And then coaching, I have two programs. Package A is 4 sessions plus the books and the audio, and that's normally $634. You can take it away for $375 today. Pretty good deal. And then program B is my coaching sessions are $150, which is less than you pay a plumber, by the way. And this will last you your whole life. Okay. So package B is you get 1 coaching session plus take home the action guide today for $125. Pretty good deal. All right. So. And you just have to go to the website to get that, and you can do that when we finish. Then we have something called, let's go back here, the Future Vision Community. And Gabrielle has helped me to set that up. Gabrielle, you want to talk about that for a second? Future Vision Community?
Yeah, if you guys are on social media, this is a way to maybe twist that a little bit, make it a little more on the positive side. But basically, Daron and I have created a group, a Facebook group, where we are, providing constant little reminders and updates and tips and techniques. And you'll also have access very quickly. In the next few weeks, we'll be doing a free 5-day challenge. So that'd be another way to take advantage of some of the tools he has and see what else he has to offer. So go onto Facebook, look up Future Vision Community, join the group, and see what we have coming in store.
Thank you, Gary. All right, so lessons learned. Let's tie this up. So I'm gonna tell you, bring the whole thing together here. So after 6 years, I finally showed up in federal court, Judge Lawson. I had a stack of evidence that was irrefutable, and we brought that big bank in America to justice. They got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. I know, this is not something I recommend for people, by the way. If you're going to life, and you don't have these tools that I have, don't try this at home. because this was really, this is one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in my life. But we brought them to federal court, and they had wrongfully foreclosed on the home. We stayed in all the time, but they wrongfully foreclosed and sold it off right underneath. And then I had it so tied up legally that you couldn't get a mortgage on the house. And so they sold it in an auction, an illegal auction. And two people bought it from West Bloomfield. And they emptied their retirement account, and it cost them $72,000 to empty that account. And so I turned to the judge and I says, I want them to get all their money back, including talk to the IRS and make sure that they get that $72,000 back. I want my record wiped clean because I didn't do anything wrong. And so, but you know what I did learn is that justice is not guaranteed. Sometimes you're going to have to stand up for what's right. And I think many of you know what I'm talking about, right? You probably have in your own life. The thing that really saved me was a system. It's important to have a system. And my goal was to get to the bottom of it, prove my innocence, mindset, make sure that I was controlling stress on a daily level so I could think, and I could make good decisions and keep my environment as positive as possible. Now, what about Steve? That guy that I met when I walked into the party. His girlfriend went to Texas, right? Oh, yeah. So what about him? Well, it was probably about 2 hours later because I got involved making some music with some other folks. And on my way out, he's sitting on a hammock, right? He's sitting on a chair, and suddenly his whole disposition changed. This is an actual picture. This is what he's doing now. 2 weeks later, we were at another function, and he was serenading the entire group, and he was starting to make a shift. I'd like to think the hour we spent together, maybe it gave him a couple of ideas that helped lift him and help him to see more positive view of his life. A coach, Lisa Lapidus, that I know, she bought a couple of these, and she's sending him one of these because he's a little on the cheap side. I said, dude, start a dream list. I mean, because he's a filmmaker, he's an artist, he's a musician, he's a therapist, he's multi-skilled. I said, you got to put that to work for you. It's not enough to have it up here. You got to make it happen out here. So let's see here. So a couple summary tips. So as you go forward, you think about some of these goals: time management, expanding your business, more sales, balance in life, finding people who want to grow, running a marathon, finding people, helping people to love reading. It's important to set goals. Develop a future vision. So remember the difference. The future vision is your life down the road. It's described. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you feel? Describe that as clearly as possible. No, you're probably never going to get there, but it will inform the goals that you write down and set now, the worthwhile goals. Then learn coping skills to neutralize stress. In the book I teach EFT, but whatever you find, get some skills. And if you have family members, teach them. I have a 22-year-old daughter. She knows these skills. She knows these skills because she has to. She's going to school. She's going to Wayne State. And she got the vaccine, and she had negative consequences. And it's been EFT that's been saving us all along the way. All right, what else? Develop daily rituals, resilient mindset. Once again, consider waking up in the morning and journaling. As a matter of fact, in this book, in the back of the book, I give you a template where you can go through all those things I've mentioned. Xerox, and eventually I'll make a journal in the next probably 2 months. I'll make a journal that'll be just for developing a resilient attitude on a day-by-day basis. Avoid negative media, people, and situations. Sometimes it's not easy. You're in a work situation and you're around negative people. But find ways. There are ways to neutralize that or to get yourself out of those situations. Wake up to a positive vision of the future. When you wake up in the morning, if you have a vision of the future, you have already set yourself up for winning. Right? Versus if you don't do that, you're going to think about your problems. And that becomes part of your subconscious mind. 95% of who you are, maybe 98% of who you are, is who you were the day before. Because you thought the way that you did the day before, and the way you thought the day before. And so who you are today and all your behaviors are an accumulation of those. And if you don't break that pattern by creating a future vision, then you'll continue to get what you've always got. All right, and okay, and that's it. My name is Daron Powers, and are there questions? How are we doing on time, Mark?
You have a good 20 minutes left if you want.
So would you like to do a Q&A?
Yes.
Let's do a Q&A. Please.
I have to tell you that I wasn't going to come to your seminar this morning because the loss in my life has been so great. I'm so glad I came because you really reiterated a lot of things that I'm doing. And when you do this, you start to become more know who you are and what you're doing. And sometimes we do frivolous things with our life because we all think we're going to live forever. And your grandfather's 88. Well, I turned 86 yesterday.
All right.
And I'm so thankful that I had this wonderful life. And I'm excited because some days I am excited, sometimes I'm not. But you know what? Everybody should do this. And you know what the other thing is, and I know we don't talk about religion, you have to find your spiritual life too, because you have to know where you're going.
Absolutely.
And I thank you so much.
By the way, Gab is going to set up a little microphone there at the end. When we're done here, I'd be so grateful if you would say a couple of words. You don't have to write a book or, you know, anything like that. Just what did you take away? What did you like about, you know, the ideas? You can say nice things about me, or not. It's up to you, right? I don't want to stack the deck.
And the nicest thing you have here is wake up to a positive future vision every day.
There you go. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Who else? Questions, comments?
Say something.
A lot to think about.
We're speechless, right? All right, so.
A lot to think about. I mean, there's
Yes, there is.
things like, that I haven't really realized. Kinda knew it, but really put things like, now I need to put steps and put things in action instead of like, this is what I wanna do, now I need to kinda like focus and narrow, okay, what's a priority, what's my number one, and then start making a list. I'm big on lists. So, and just start making a list and where do I wanna go?
Very nice.
Not only with my business, but personal.
Very nice. Yes. You know, and I love in that the system is set up so you don't have to be broken to be fixed. You can be at a very, very high level and go to the next level. That's the way this is set up. I'm not here necessarily to fix the broken or the handicapped, though this will work very well. This is for highly functioning people. Because a highly functioning person that does this, they know the value of it. You know, for something under $30, oh my God, you know, that's 3 Starbucks coffees. And they'll be gone. Please.
I have a question about coaching.
Yes.
So it's an hour, 3 sessions, an hour each session?
It's four sessions,
Four
an hour
sessions,
each.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you, after those 4 sessions, do you have some sort of guarantee or some sort of what can be expected? Is that it?
Like a follow-up?
Yeah, like what can be expected?
Well, I can
like-
tell you what I usually do.
Okay.
I stay in contact with people.
For how long?
For as long as they'll keep talking to me.
I guess my question is you've coached, I'm sure, several people. Have you coached
A lot of people.
teams or one-on-one? What's your
I've
role?
done teams, I've done one-on-one.
What
Business
type of
people,
businesses?
automotive,
I've seen his.
contractors.
I've worked at Ford.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ford.
A lot of years.
Yeah, I've done a lot
Is
of
it
coaching.
business growth? Do you?
It's what the person wants.
Okay,
I'm business.
What's your
I-
specialty?
I speak business,
okay.
but I also speak personal development because I do both on a very high
Well, I
level.
think they're,
Yeah.
as a business owner, my personal, I think is a reflection, you know, it reflects in my business,
Right,
honestly.
right.
And I know this because I've lived it.
Yes.
Right, so,
Well, one of the things I want to do is, if you sign up for that program, I'll take your money, okay?
I will do.
But, all right?
anybody less than $350, any takers? 200,
But here's the thing, we'll have a meeting up front. And if I can't help you, if I really think that, I'm not going to take your money.
Because I've had a business coach, and he helped me tremendously, more so in my personal, believe it or not. He gave me great business advice, but at the time of my life, because I needed it more personally. I didn't know
Sure.
that, he knew it.
Yes.
It's very odd. But
Nice.
but, he did a consultation, we had 2 consultations.
Okay.
To decide if we were a fit for one another.
Sure.
Because it's not just about me choosing you, you have to decide.
Yeah, I want to decide that up front before you
Yeah.
start.
Right.
Who's a good fit? And I know we have good fit, but that's just my speculation.
Right. Because I'm really interested in the coaching, because I do want to grow my
Yes.
business. And
I still use coaches today. I have a coach, I see her every 2 weeks, roughly. I decided to let my video marketing business go, and I said, this is what I want to do. My wheelhouse is helping people to grow. I love to help people to grow. But I'm really starting at ground floor with this. So I thought, okay, I put myself through my course twice, and I got to this far, and I had some still blocks. I thought, I need another perspective, so I hired a coach. And boom, she's taking me to the next level, next level, next level. So, it's such a good news.
do you do them in person? And I don't know.
Zoom
This is,
or in person?
Okay, perfect.
Where are you located?
I'm in 12 Mile and Telegraph, right at all those
Yep.
freeways.
Yep.
and what? Yeah.
How long?
Yeah, right on Rouge River. Bought a little fixer up there. So when the after the bank after we resolved the bank things, my wife went to Detroit and I bought a home in Southfield on the river, and we rally around my daughters, and we got a good life today. But it's different.
I can speak to his coaching, and if you go on his website and stuff, you'll see one of my testimonials. Sorry, my allergies are crazy right now, you guys, sorry about that. Anyway, I met Daron at a seminar course, and I was fascinated with his background. I've always been a little bit fascinated with law of attraction. EFT was something I had learned about. There was just several other modalities. NLP I was familiar with as well. And I talked to him a little bit about some things that were going on in my life. And what I liked is he combined all these different techniques to kind of help me achieve my goals. So when you walk in there, you're coming up with what are your, what are your main goals with your future vision. And then it was just like when we had our meetings, our appointments, it was just like very clear where we needed to work. It was just, I don't know how I was really good at detecting, like, okay, we need to go in this direction. And I actually credit him for really literally saving my life. I think I had some beliefs that were kind of almost creating, this sounds so crazy, but I had watched my dad die like right after a divorce, and I had just gone through this divorce, and I think I was like having the most crazy near-death experiences, like where I almost like, got in a terrible accident flying down the stairs and almost in a car accident, and I'm like, man, I wonder if I'm not recreating something that I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was like a pattern. And so we worked on that like right away, and never, nothing else happened like that. Obviously, I'm still here. And it just helped me kind of achieve some of my personal goals, my professional goals. Even when I was ready to drop some weight, we worked on that as well. So it's, it's just whatever you want to work on. But I think the key is that you've got beliefs in your mind, sometimes built from childhood, that get in your way, and it stops you from seeing possibilities. And so he can kind of help you work through eliminating those limiting beliefs and help you sort of, basically plan that future and like what's it going to take to get there. So you can kind of put the past away and start moving forward in a different direction rather than just repeating. A lot of our lives, I've noticed, are just patterns over and over. You kind of find the same thing. Sometimes people find themselves in a horrible relationship, so they get out of it. And what do you know? 10 years later, they're in the exact same relationship with a different face, right? Mm-hmm. And then they do it again, and they just keep cycling through. And why? Because they didn't take care of the things that led them to that existence, that experience. So by working through some of these techniques that he has, he can help you just eliminate those patterns so you can create a new pattern based on where you want to go. It's kind of like having that GPS, setting up. Rather than just driving down the same road because we've gone down that same road every day to work, setting up a GPS going, I would like to end up over here, and now let's figure out the map to get there, right? Rather than just autopilot. So that was my experience. He was amazing.
So why are you here today? This is interesting. We did do some follow-up, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just stayed in touch. That was a couple of years ago that I met, and it was after a terrible breakup, and I was pretty devastated at that time, and almost like to this point of like not functioning. So I got through that, and really just completely changed my life. And you know, and we've stayed in touch, and every now and then if something would come up, I'd give him a call, and he'd work through, the tapping, and, EFT is kind of a neat technique for, if you're up here about something, it'll just drop you right, kind of calm you down. So he was great about that, and then I've done some online businesses before. I've owned an ad agency for almost 30 years, so as I'm getting back into that, I just love his product, and I want to help him share this with the world, because I think, you know, he was able to help save my life in a lot of ways, and I'd like to help him, you know, get the word out and share his techniques with a lot of people. Because you can do this on your own, but it does help if you've got someone guiding you through it, you know. So if you take the books home and try working through it, but I think you'll find having a coach really makes it a lot more effective.
Well, so I got the best of all situations. Somebody who been through the product and now she wants to promote it.
Yes.
Wow. Are you kidding me? And you know, the other thing she says, I saved your life. And I say, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. But I didn't save your life. You know, nobody can do your push-ups for you. Nobody can take your vitamins. You got to do the work. She did the work. You know, and because she did the work, I'm lucky today that she's standing here. I'm very, very grateful for you.
Yeah.
So, how about a hand for Gabrielle? All right. Wow, what a testimony.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
One other
Please.
thing I want to say
There you
is that the word is so powerful, and it's always been powerful. So if you keep thinking of yourself and keep saying it, I never exercise, I have a hard time doing it, I can't lose weight. You know, if you keep saying that, what happens is it gets into your psyche and you start believing it. Because I had weight problems in my past, and the thing is, when I really started just loving myself for the way I am, and then work on it, and I love it. You have to become proactive. I come to workshops, I always try to apply something, because if you don't, you're in your same place.
Absolutely. Well said. All right. Anybody else? Final comments? Jim.
For people that want to refinance their homes, are there any big banks of America that you don't recommend?
Do credit unions finance mortgages?
Yes.
I would recommend. In fact, I know a great bank. And a great guy who represents that bank, you know. And I've moved my money over to credit unions, by the way. Because banks are just, you know, government's getting into everything, right? So I prefer credit union. Oh.
I like that advice.
And I did sign an NDA, so I cannot say which bank it was, but it was in America for sure.
All right.
And it was a bank.
Actually,
Angel.
what would be your top for the EFT? Being a redhead, I fly off the handle real quick. What would be like just your advice to me when I say something sets me off and I just automatically turn red, like anger?
Well,
How would I stop? What would you be? What
are
would
you in front of people or away from people?
Well, it's typically I'm in front of someone.
Can you step away for a minute? Could you step away and go, excuse me, I gotta adjust my eyelash.
That's a good advice.
Okay,
because, yeah,
so here's what I would do.
I fly off the handle and then I think after, like, oh,
Well, I was waiting with Gabriel. Remember when your son got a little excited there in the kitchen and stuff was flying over, right? So she texted me, this is about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But she texted me, so I said, call me. So she calls me on the phone, and she was, you know, pretty stressed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you were really stressed. So I says, here, what I want you to do right away, because it's just happening, it was all unfolding right there in the kitchen, right? So here's what I want you to do. So take your left hand, everybody try this. Just take your left hand, put it there on your heart area, okay? Right, just with your fingers. Just tap right there, tap your heart, okay? And tap between your eyes, okay? This is a shortcut. Now, if you just do this for about a minute to a minute and a half, if you're highly agitated, okay? What happened was we did this. And I heard the sound of, I'm a musician, I hear things, right? I heard the tone of her voice go from here to, just from this. This brings your head and your heart into, what's the word, starts with
A
C.
rhythm?
Coherence. Thank you. Coherence, right? And you do that at night. I do it when I'm laying in bed. I'll do this as I'm thinking about gratitude. I'm thinking about grateful for the things that are coming into my life, right? And when I wake up in the morning, so I'll do that too. There are other protocols, but that's a simple one. Just slip into the bathroom, go to the stall, say, okay, here we go.
Or envision yourself in a situation. I was gonna say, the other thing is envision yourself in that moment, like take a moment, envision that situation where you're just really, get yourself as mad as you possibly can, like that time when someone says something, sends you right into orbit. So you gotta try to get yourself elevated to that point, and then do the EFT protocol. Like, even though I'm flat handle really quick, I deeply, completely accept myself, even though redheads always snap quickly, or whatever your beliefs are, because those are just your beliefs, you know. It's funny when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe I've heard it before, but I didn't necessarily, I don't believe that. So you can undo that belief, you know, and so you can unsubscribe to that by just tapping and kind of work through that. But one thing that he'll have you do if you work with him is, you know, you talked about a guarantee. One thing that's kind of neat about EFT is you can literally say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel this, like I'm 10 about this topic.
Oh, I've used EFT.
And by the end of it, you can get it down to like 2s and 0s very quickly if you're working with someone who's capable like you do.
I've never heard of it, so
Yeah.
I learned something.
Very
If
good.
you sit on like the Biggest Loser for people to lose weight, it's really mainstream right now. It's not, you know, it's not.
Doctors, not all doctors have picked it up, neither chiropractors, the ones that are forward thinking, but I guarantee you, in 20 years, Western medicine will be picking up what's written in this book. What I did for Ford Motor in that course, that's just now, some of those technologies are just now coming to the forefront. So I try to stay out in front and give everybody the advantage of the most modern stuff.
So the name of your company is appropriate, Future Vision, that's what you have.
Future Vision Power. So before you leave, folks, do be sure to get on the camera and just say a couple of words if you would. It would really, really, truly help my business, especially since I'm starting new, so to speak, with this project. So thank you so much. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.